there Star Wars collectors, welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video and welcome to episode 13 of Ask Bossk's Bounty. This is the weekly series that drops every Sunday, and yeah, as I mentioned, it's episode 13, which is unlucky for some. Hopefully it won't be unlucky for me and it'll get loads of views and likes, so if you do happen to like this video, be sure to drop a like down below and please leave your questions in the comment section below for next week's episode. I try my very best to get through all the questions. There is a lot, but hopefully yours will be the one that is read out. Anyway, with all that being said, let's get on to the first question of the week. Mark Murphy says, my question for the next one: if you ran Hasbro Star Wars, what would you do differently? Or what do you think of the current collecting in the US versus the UK, the main differences? So I think if I was running Hasbro Star Wars, I think I would just concentrate on more figures, basically delivering more in the waves. I think 4 figures in a wave that we've been getting recently just isn't enough. I think the new wave with the Mandalorian, Cara Dune and what have you, 4 figures in a wave and one of them being a repack, it's just not enough. We need more figures. And then if I was in Hasbro Star Wars, I'd listen to the fans a bit more. I would put polls out and stuff like that and find out actually what figures people want. For example, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that want a fully articulated patrol trooper from Solo on a vintage style card. I think he's a big miss, even though he's only in the show for a couple of seconds. That's the sort of figures, in my opinion, that people want. They want to army build these figures. And Star Wars figures over the years have always given us characters that are only in it for very small pieces of the movie, and we've never minded that. It's the obscure characters that I think, personally, that we want. So if it was me, I'd put polls out there. I would get the fans' opinion on what exactly it is they want, and then also produce your core characters for whatever's out at the time. So if it's the Rise of Skywalker, you know, you need your Kylo Rens, you need your Reys, you need your Finns, that sort of thing. It's, you know, the Mandalorian, we're still waiting for those figures and it's a bit of a shame, but hey, what can you do? In terms of what I think the difference is between the US and the UK, I think the main difference is that basically you have more outlets of where you can get these figures. So you've got your Walmarts, your Targets. Now I know people over there moan about the shelves being empty and what have you, but you have them. Over here we have very few actual physical shops that you can walk into and, you know, pick a figure off the pegs. We have to use online specialist retailers like In Demand Toys, Star Action Figures, companies like that to get our figures. So that's the main difference, I think. Also, the other difference is obviously when there's an exclusive, like a GameStop exclusive or a Walmart exclusive, you guys have a lot better access to those figures because we just don't have those stores over here. So I think that's the main difference. Let me know in the comments what you guys think.
If this is a consularship, where is the ambassador?
JDC28 says, nice videos with good content. Thank you very much, mate. I do appreciate that. He says, my question is a little out of left field. Do you think they are done with the expanded universe figures? He loved the 6-inch Jaina Solo, but he really wanted it in 3.75 for the Rogue Squadron collection. Now, I'm totally with you here, but I don't think they're done with it. This previous wave gave us a expanded universe figure. So we've got the Shadow Trooper. So why would we think that they're done with it? I really hope they're not. I think there is room for those sorts of figures. But it goes back to my previous question about, you know, if we were running Star Wars. Again, this is the sort of thing that I think they should do. I think every other wave they should have a fan's choice figure. And you get to decide out of a list of, say, 5 figures, which one should be made. And that's the figure that should be made. And often I think it would be maybe expanded universe figures, who knows? This person's name that I really can't pronounce, I do apologise, says, what's your favourite Bossk appearance? Juan Cabrera Angarita says, will there be vintage collection figures for the Rise of Skywalker? Thank you, Bossk. Amazing channel. There is, mate. There already is. So we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus Poe Dameron, that's 6. I get your point though, we need more of them. We've just mentioned that. We need a Finn, we need an Emperor, we need a Kylo Ren. There's loads of them what we need, and yeah, hopefully we will get them in, you know, maybe this year at some point, but who knows, you know, I'm sure we're going to get more Mandalorian as well. It's just a case of being patient, I guess. Ed Luchuk says, awesome vid as always, mate. What's your favourite alien species or race from the cantina on Jabba's Palace? First of all, thank you very much, Ed. Lovely comment, thank you. My favourite species from the Jabba's Palace is probably the green Nikto, so this guy, Klaatu. Obviously you've got Woof as well, and of course Jiran, which is definitely a figure from the Legacy collection that needs to be on a vintage card. Same with the Rancor Keeper, so they could go together. They would be pretty cool. Carl Jones says, hey Bossk Bounty, do you think they will make a new Mandalorian updated version with jetpack and extra accessories and a Rise of Skywalker Emperor Palpatine? Yes, mate, I think it's inevitable. You know, the Mandalorian is going to sell like absolute hotcakes in the vintage collection. It's already completely sold out in the Black Series. It's really, really hard to get. They're having to get more of them in to service the demand. So as soon as you bring out a new one in full Beskar armour, again, it's going to sell like absolute hotcakes. As for the Rise of Skywalker Emperor Palpatine, I think again it's an inevitable addition that we need for that film and in the vintage collection and the Black Series. So I'm not saying it's a definite, but I think we can safely say that those will be on the agenda at some point. Juriah Plays says, question for next asks Bossk Bounty. With D'Agostini's Build Your Own X-Wing / Millennium Falcon / R2-D2, do you think or would you like a magazine collection subscription where you get a carded figure each week or fortnight? I think it's a pretty good idea, but I don't think it's practical really. I think every single figure that you would get in that package, the card would be all busted up and bent and the bubble would be all smashed up and dented and what have you. I don't think that would go down too well whatsoever. However, I do like the D'Agostini type of thing where you build a highly detailed model. I'm actually building the X-Wing at the moment and have a series on my channel, so please go check those videos out. I actually have the next 8 editions, I believe, where I've got to build it and do a video for it, so that's going to be coming soon on the channel. And yeah, we're going to be making some serious progress on that X-Wing, so it'll be pretty cool. Michael Hodges says, hey boss, great video as always. Thank you, Michael. As a British kid in the 80s, did you watch Doctor Who? And if so, who was your favourite Doctor? So yeah, as a kid I did used to watch Doctor Who. I can't admit to being a huge fan of it now. I haven't seen any of the new ones, but I did used to enjoy it when I was little, maybe when I was about 7-8 years old, I think. And at about that time, Peter Davison was the Doctor, so he was one of my favourites. I always liked him as a Doctor. I think that's probably the Doctor that I saw the most of, you know, like religiously watched the series that he was the Doctor in. I remember the regeneration scene. Other than that, I think you can't go too far wrong with Tom Baker. I think he's probably the best Doctor. Obviously, I've seen a lot of the reruns of when he was the Doctor. Used to love K9 and whatever and his long scarf. I think if you pictured the Doctor in your head, Tom Baker is like that sort of classic look. I kind of lost faith with it a little bit when Colin Baker became the Doctor. I just did not like that blonde curly hair. He looked weird to me. I think it's because I was so used to Peter Davison being the Doctor, and when Colin Baker, I just didn't like it. But I did start picking it up again with Sylvester McCoy. But after that, you know, I haven't seen any of them, I must be honest. 46 Zone says, nice video. Thank you, 46 Zone. Here is a question. What is it about Bossk that makes him your favourite character / figure? So I kind of get this a lot. People always say to me, why Bossk? Because obviously I've named my channel and my website Bossk's Bounty. That kind of was a decision for sort of ideas I was coming up with about what I wanted to call it. But obviously I was trying to think of characters that I really, really liked. And Bossk as a kid was always the bad guy for me. So this figure here, this one right here, he was always the bad guy when I was playing Star Wars when I was little. So obviously you've got Darth Vader and what have you, but this guy was the guy that was always hunting them down. I used to have the heroes in the Millennium Falcon trying to get away from this guy, and he used to catch up with them and put them in prison and whatever, you know. And I don't know, I just think he looks cool. I mean, you can't deny, look at him. Do I need a reason? Look at him, he's cool. Risk Runner says, do you think they will make any Battlefield 2 / Fallen Order in the vintage collection? I think they will. I just think it's maybe, as I've said before, there's so much that they've got to do with Rise of Skywalker, Mandalorian. There's so much that we need. People want Expanded Universe. People want Clone Wars for when the Clone Wars comes out this month. So yeah, I think we will get Fallen Order. We'll definitely get Cal Kestis at some point. I see absolutely no reason why not. Battlefield 2, maybe not. Maybe they'll save that for the Black Series line of gaming greats that they're doing with GameStop. Brian Dempsey says, love the videos as always, man. Thank you very much, Brian. What was your favourite thing you did at Galaxy's Edge, and what was your favourite item you bought at Galaxy's Edge? So I think there's 2 things that I loved about Galaxy's Edge the most. Actually 3 things. So the first thing is just the atmosphere about it. Just walking around the marketplace, things like that. It is really, really cool. In terms of the things that I did that I enjoyed the most, the Rise of the Resistance ride is incredible. It's 15 minutes long of pure, you are in Star Wars. I recommend anyone that goes to Galaxy's Edge has to go on that ride, even if the queue or whatever it is massive to get on it. You've got to go on that thing. It is absolutely brilliant. And the third thing is obviously, you know, just being by the Millennium Falcon. It's spectacular seeing it there. It's got to be said. The best thing that I bought, I've shown it before in another video. It's this. It's actually a popcorn holder, but man, is it cool. It's the mouse droid and the popcorn goes in there. But yeah, $20 or whatever it was, worth absolutely every penny. Armoured Armstrong says, great video as always, thank you mate. Has there been any word on if or when the Black Series Zeb is coming? I thought I'd heard something about it when Ezra was released, but I haven't heard anything since then. So they're being a little bit sheepish on this. They get asked it all the time at every convention that Hasbro go to. The guy there, he gets asked it every single time, and he pretty much alludes to the fact that it is coming. I think it may even be one of those deluxe figures, because I know that the deluxe side of the Black Series they reserve for like bigger figures that have never been released before, so not ones that they're just doing up a little bit or whatever. It has to be a brand new sculpt or whatever, and Zeb's going to be a pretty big figure, so maybe he'll come out on that. And I just think I think it's one of those ones that's inevitable, but we just don't know when it's coming. Dial 3 says, hey boss, great show as always. With a very limited amount of characters coming out for the Mandalorian and episode 9, how do you feel about all the great custom work that is being done by fans? I've got to say, I think it is absolutely phenomenal, some of the things that I've seen. I'm just going to throw these images up on the screen now of this baby Yoda that this company's done. Sorry, just while I'm recording this now, I can't actually remember what company it is, but you'll be able to see it on the card back, and I'll link to it in the description below. But basically, this baby Yoda is exactly how I described how I would want the vintage collection Yoda to be done. Baby Yoda, the child, whatever you want to call him. You get the little pod in a bubble with the baby Yoda on an amazing card back. You know, if Hasbro need any sort of guidance of what they're doing, just look at that and give us that in the vintage collection. Job done. But yeah, there is loads and loads of guys out there. I know, I see them all the time on Instagram, and they're doing some stunning work. And yeah, I just wish I had that much talent, to be honest, because I wouldn't have a clue what I'm doing. Josh B says, great video. That Bossk should definitely be re-released. He's talking about this Bossk here from the Vintage Saga collection. Yep, it would be great if he's released. But your question for this week is, if they did re-release the Cantina Aliens, would you prefer them as 3 packs in the vintage collection style at a lower price, or on their own vintage cards at the $13.99 retail price? So I've got to be honest, as much as I love the 3 packs, and I do love the 3 packs, I love the design, they hark back to the good old days. And if you wanted an original 3 pack these days, you're talking thousands of pounds. So I do like the way they do that. It's that sort of nod back to the vintage days of Kenner and everything. But I think, if I'm honest, I would prefer every single vintage collection figure to have his own card back. So I think they did it perfectly with the Skiff 3-pack. That's a great example. They gave us a 3-pack, which is something that existed in the Kenner days, in that style, with 3 figures on their own cards. That is how you should do it. There you go, Hasbro. And there you go, Josh. I hope that answers your question. And that's it for this week, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As I mentioned before, please leave your questions in the comment section below. Let's keep this series going. I really enjoy answering your questions. I think it really creates that sense of community that we've got going on here, which is brilliant. But I do thank you all for watching, and we shall see you on the next one.